Oh, we're doing this. A proper best of 5. And we're gonna do it with 2 of my favorite players. Well, I might have to drop Showtime from that category if he's gonna be a dirty hatch blocker, which it looks like that probe could be. He's gonna follow that up with the second probe for a low ground pylon. You better do those intros. Properly translated, his name means I'm better at this game than you. He is Serral!
Current world rank 1.
It's great to see the Finnish Phenom back on top. Though it's also been kinda cool to know that he doesn't necessarily win everything just by entering. There's the gateway for Protoss, and here comes our unnatural natural following the hatch block. And that's gonna make up our opening sequence on our map, Light Shield. As for our German Protoss player, it's time to light the lights because it's Showtime!
Current world rank 11.
Between Showtime and Hero Marine, the Germans are once again a Starcraft powerhouse. Gas and pool going down for Serral. Showtime's probe was able to confirm the timing. This battle comes from the group stages of ASUS 2020, by the way. There's a $15,000 prize to the tournament winner. Both our players have just won a complete match, so whoever wins this is guaranteed to get out of the group, and in first place out of the group. Showtime is going to go Nexus before Core, setting up to eventually wall off his natural. He will need a third building and a door guard, though. Group D is not an easy group. The other players are Innovation and Donneray Gu. Poor Showtime. He's matched up against 2 South Koreans and a world champion. Serral's pool's about to pop, which will be followed by his hatchery. Showtime plants the Protoss tech stashing pylon. There goes the pool. There's the eggplant splatter. And it will be 2 queens and 4 lings. Serral's standard opening of comfort. No surprises here. Now the core is going to complete for Protoss. Let's see if there's anything of note there. A chrono boosted adept and warp gate research. No tech choice so far. Serral's sending in an overlord. He's not going to see anything up top. Oh, Showtime wanted to make a Twilight Council. He didn't want to reveal it. He's going downstairs to plant it. Yes, he is. Could be Blink Stalkers, could be Glaives, could be none of the above. Serral has Ling speed underway and he's getting busy working on his drones. He's just taken that worker lead. And he's taken his third. At the location where his second was supposed to be, but really, I'm getting over it, I swear. Showtime is not sending out his adept, he's keeping it back. Oh, but Serral sneaks a Ling in anyway. He's gonna get the scout on that Twilight Council. What he's not gonna see, though, is Showtime has started a robo up top. And that Ling is gonna be first blood. Twilight Council will complete, but Showtime doesn't have the money to research anything just yet. He's prioritized adding a second gateway to finish his wall. Oh, there's the research at the Twilight Council. It's gonna be Resonating Glaives. It's an upgrade that drops the cooldown in between the shots that the adept fires, resulting in a 45% increase in attack speed. Serral's sending up more lings. Not sure what he makes of his scouting info just yet. He might be deciding he needs to see more. Oh, his lings see the wall off is complete and he makes a decision. He puts down a roach warren. That's the right call against a glaive rush. But it does become a problem for him if that robo starts making immortals. Showtime is adding to his adepts, and he's started a warp prism. It's definitely starting to shape up like a glaive rush. And here's our opening warp gate ceremony. The lings are joining in on the celebration until the defenders chase them off. Protoss is adding a third gateway, and that warp prism's gonna let Showtime reinforce in the field. Serral's spidey sense is tingling. He's putting down a spine crawler for added protection. And he's got an overlord he had stashed in the back corner, which is now gonna take a second look. Oh, here's a surprise. Showtime puts down a robo bay. That's not part of your grandfather's glaive rush. With that overlord's current scouting path, he's not gonna see the robo bay. And his stalkers come in to shorten that overlord's life. I just officially got interested here. What is Showtime up to? Is he faking a glaive rush? I don't think so, because he tried to hide the Twilight. Anyway, that overlord's gonna die with very little information. Serral's decided he needs to make spores. He can't rule out DTs and he has to be safe. But he's not gonna get a lot of value out of them. This warp prism's empty. It's pretty much a fake. I suppose it could do a warp in. And I suppose the spores could help zone it out. This game got weird. The Robo Bay completes. And the Adepts are on the march. They're on creep. It's the pink miasma, shading in deep. Serral picks it up with his Ravagers. Showtime cancels it. His Adepts look to be going home, or they're at least well off a creep at this point. Showtime's got an observer now. It's drifting across the map. The reinforcing Adepts are not joining up with the pack. They're taking up their own position. The 3 Adepts kill a Ling, but now Serral knows where they are. He's going hunting with a pack of his own. Oh, he's gonna get the surround. There's the shade away, but this is gonna be close. It's gonna be a carnage of carcasses. Serral gets all 3. The warp prism's being used to give sight to his stalker to clear out an observer. The Adept pack is here. Serral's Lings are here. They're gonna try to pounce on that stalker and save the Overlord. But the Adepts are the counter move. Plan B for Serral is to go for the wall, but the Adepts have that covered as well. The Stalker gets the Adept kill and then pulls back to safety. Meanwhile, Showtime takes his 3rd base. And then he loads his Warp Prism with 2 Disruptors. Oh, Disruptor drops, baby. Serral tries to see if he can shut down that 3rd. But those Adepts have those Lings heavily countered. They do bonus damage against light, which Lings are. It's the Ravagers that cause them trouble, and Serral's keeping them at home. Serral's got a Baneling nest underway, and he's working on his +1. He's also getting back to droning. He had to slow his economy to make sure he was ready for those Adepts. Can Showtime show us the fine art of a Disruptor drop? Nova's away, he splits them. Oh, 14 kills! That was nothing short of spectacular, and he saved both his Disruptors. Serral's drone count sinks instantly, and he responds by making a 4th. His head is bloody, but unbowed. And then he produces 7 drones at once, and he's halfway there to catching back up. Showtime starts researching Blink, that's a long one, and the Colossus range upgrade. Extended Thermal Lance. 100 seconds for that one. 121 seconds for Blink. But while we wait, we may get treated to another Disruptor drop. Oh, Serral's on it. His Queens and Lings are there. Nova's away. And there's the pickup. Serral does a quick transfuse to save his Queen. Meanwhile, Roach speed is just about done, and Baneling speed is underway. Serral is already making Banelings. He's also adding Roaches. He means to get big on lower tech. Serral's gonna finish his +1 attack. Showtime's a little bit behind in that regard. The Overseer's gonna see it. The gateway explosion is just about done. Showtime's going up to 8 gates. The Protoss Death Ball is live. Repeat, the Protoss Death Ball is live. There's a lot of sentry energy in there. The force fields could be key against the Banelings. Though Serral does have the Ravager Biles to knock them out, this is going to be micro-intensive for both players. There's going to be a lot of green and blue blood staining that white sand pretty soon. Oh, Serral's got a hidden squad waiting for Showtime to push out, which is exactly what he's doing. Centrifugal Hook's just about to finish. He's rolling. Serral with a bust at the front door. He's inside. Showtime with a warp-in block to save his mineral line. Meanwhile, the Death Ball is pushing in. Surviving Lings push for the main. There's another emergency warp-in. Showtime looks to have controlled the damage with Zealots. There's just one Baneling left. It's exploded on the Zealots. However, the Death Ball has been forced back. Solid defense for both players. Showtime regroups and decides to attack on the west flank. He's warped in a whole bunch more Stalkers to beef up his army's front line. Serral's evolving 16 Banelings. He's buying time for their completion. The Night King means to trade his way out of this one. Here we go! Force fields up! Serral spots the trap and pulls back. Amazing reflexes by both players. There is a generous abundance of Banelings on that creep. And he's not done. He's producing more. 28 Lings in production. Showtime's adding in Stalkers and Sentries, using his Warp Prism to do it. Serral sends out his Lings. He's got a bit of an attack run planned here. The front door is still weakened from the previous bust attempt. Serral throws his Lings at the wall. That gateway cannot hold. Showtime has to pull back to defend. That leaves his main army caught in the middle. The gateway's down. Serral's inside. The core goes. The Blink Stalkers get back to help with the cleanup. The bulk of the damage is controlled. Serral's gonna tech up behind this. He started an infestation pit. The last of the Lings try to hide on the inside and morph into Banelings. Did Showtime notice? +2 about to finish for the Zerg. It's just starting up for the Protoss, who, if I may add, is adding a battle duck. Archons would go a long way towards shutting down these Lings. And Storm's kinda good too. That would give Protoss a third dimension of splash. The infestation pit has finished. No hive tech just yet. Serral's gonna throw down another hatch. That'll be his 5th. Showtime is starting up his 4th. Serral's now introducing the +1 range attack upgrade. Showtime's going for Zealot legs. I should really learn to call it charge. I make it sound like these Zealots are legless beings and they're just getting legs for the first time and learning to walk. Yes, our warriors are so much more effective now that they've learned to stop crawling and are actually bipedal. Serral takes a stab at shutting down the Protoss 4th, but it's a no-go. It's always amazing what Serral can get done with just Lings. But not if the death ball is right there. And speaking of death balls, Serral's horde's looking pretty scary. The attack on the 4th was the fake to draw out the defense. The real hit is there. Showtime loses his 3rd, and then he has to repel another attack on his 4th. Serral is maxed out and really exerting pressure. He wants to trade his Banelings like Pokemon cards. Come on, let's make a deal. Showtime's chock full of expensive units. He does not want to trade his collection today. Zerg is heavily out-resourcing Protoss, and he's starting to build a bank. Showtime has to find a way to leverage his superior tech without getting blown away by Banelings. He steps onto creep. He's about to finish +2 attack and go even on upgrades. Oh, he's about to catch Serral morphing 20 Banelings. Showtime hurls a disruptor shot at the morphing Banelings. He gets them all. Or enough of them. Oh! Force field just a smidgen too late. He stops a lot, and Serral finds a hole at the bottom. Serral dumps all his larvae into more Lings. He's also finishing off a Spire. Showtime goes for an offensive warp in. 8 Zealots. A bajillion Zerglings are about to pop up at every single hatchery. The southwestern one, though, is about to be crushed, and the unborn Lings are being murdered. Serral's supply went from 200 to 150 in about 2 seconds with those Banelings. And he's pouring in even more. Showtime does not want to be trading like this, but the Night King is not giving him a choice. Still, he's advancing on Serral's unnatural natural. He's almost reached Serral's secret overlord flock. Serral pulled drones and throws them at the Protoss. The Colossi make quick work of them, but it does let the Ravagers get their shots off. Serral's switching tactics. He's trying to make roaches, but he's in a bit of trouble. Showtime's got good position. He's still got 2 Colossi left, and he's carving up Serral's queens. It's raining vials, but the Protoss just keeps on advancing. The Overlords have to retreat. Serral abandons his unnatural natural. Showtime blinks up the ramp to get on top of the Ravagers, and Serral taps out. Game 1 goes to our German Protoss. He takes a game off of the Night King himself. So much you could say about this game, but all I want is to see that disruptor drop again. These poor drones are like the scattered leaves of autumn. And then the disruptors coldly beam back up without even looking behind them. Possibly because they don't actually have backs to look behind. Who can say, really? But something tells me we just gotta get to game 2. Adjutant, if you would, please.
Maximizing full series potential. The game begins now.
Game 2 it is. In any best of 5 series, Game 2 is always the most important. I am so hyped to see how Serral's gonna react. And to make this game even better, we don't have a hatch blocker this time around, if I'm not mistaken. Our Protoss player is an American premium television network owned by Viacom. He is Showtime! He's also known as the original macro Protoss. Though I've never noticed anything specifically macro-oriented about Showtime's play, he just seems kind of good at everything. And he's kicking things off for us with the gate and go. And our Zerg player is going to enjoy the luxury of putting his hatch where it's supposed to go. It's that 47-second natural we used to all know and love. Our Zerg player is an anagram of the word laser. He is Serral! Well, it kind of works if you ignore the extra R. Well, regardless, he's going to have to be locked in like one if he wants to turn this series around. Getting his hatch planted at the traditional 47-second mark is a good start. Following it up with a slightly quicker gas pool timing from Game 1 doesn't hurt either. The gateway completes, and we've already seen that Showtime likes to go with that Nexus first. The core will follow, and until that completes, we'll be kept in the dark as to what Showtime's intentions are for Game 2. I'm still not entirely sure what his plan was for Game 1, but whatever it was, it worked. I guess it doesn't hurt if your double disruptor drop is a complete ambush. Serral's pool's about to complete, and if he follows this up with a double queen and 4 lings, you all have to subscribe. I am, though, playing some pretty heavily favored odds. Here comes the explosion of lilac and gray, the plum kaboom, the violet geyser, and it is indeed 2 queens, 4 lings. But we knew that was coming. The question is, what does Showtime have for us? Cybercore finishing up. I know that Overlord wants to know as much as we do. Chrono boosted adept, no warp gates. Showtime will go for a Stargate opening this time. Serral adds ling speed, nothing to see there. Showtime does add warp gates, he just prioritizes it a little lower. Showtime's probe investigates the possibility of delaying the 3rd, but will be chased out by Zerglings. The little guy will get to keep his life, though. I thought he was going to be cast in the role of First Blood. But instead, the role may go to a certain Zergling. Serral's going to sneak it in again. The Adept was guarding the wrong half. Ling goes to the main. Will it see the Stargate? The Adept Shade is right on top of it. 1 shot. 2 shot. Did he get it? Gotta check the vision. It is so close. No! Serral did not spot it. Though I'm being overly dramatic. It's a Phoenix build. Odds are good. It's just gonna kill an Overlord and then Serral will know about it anyway. Which is probably why Showtime went for double Adepts and did not get himself a Stalker. He's already got a plan for dealing with pesky Overlords, and it's this guy right here. Meanwhile, those Adepts are not streaking across the map to attack. They are resuming their defensive role here. Serral obviously notes the presence of the Phoenix, and he's building himself some spores. Unlike Game 1, this time he's sure he's gonna need them. The second thing to come out of that Stargate is gonna be an Oracle. It's shaping up to be a traditional Oracle dive, accompanied by 1 Phoenix to tank the shots. Usually Showtime likes to have a second Oracle when he does this, and indeed he is making a second one. Serral's advancing additional lings across the map. He's also got an Evo chamber halfway to completion. No sign of a forge for Showtime. Serral's also making an additional queens, which are absolutely going to be useful for fending off an aerial assault. Here is our opening warp gate ceremony. It will be attended by those Zerglings. The wall is tight at this point, though. They're not getting in unless they can grind their way through an Adept. Serral's lings did see the Oracle going east, so he's got his queens positioned to intercept. But they've been waiting a long time. And so the queens are giving up. They're going home. Showtime decided to wait for that extra Oracle. Serral's getting nervous that he changed attack paths. But Showtime hasn't. He is attacking from that same east side. I love these mind games. Did Showtime mean for Serral to spot him going east? He may have faked the fake out. Or I'm overanalyzing it and Showtime's just being slow. Either way, the dive is on its way. The target's going to be the main. 2 Oracles, 1 Phoenix. Pulsar beams are active. There's a lift on the Queen, but the Spore is pounding away. 4 drone kills. All Protoss air units survive. Hull damage on 1 Oracle. It's not enough, but it has the potential for more. Meanwhile, Serral's finishing up a Baneling nest, and he's teching to lair. His Evo chamber is also halfway done to +1 melee attack. Melee, potato. I think it's a potato type thing. Do let me know if you know otherwise. I've often wondered about that thing. Showtime's 3rd Oracle links up with the posse. Serral astutely is adding a second Spore at his main. He has an uncanny ability to predict his opponent's attack paths. He just sees everything that happens on the board in his vision. But the spore will not be finished in time. The queen gets lifted. A second queen is there to help out. This time it's 5 drone kills. All Protoss units survive. At 3 drones and Oracle, he's only got value if he continues to use those Oracles throughout the game. Showtime is such a player. And Showtime's follow-up is going to be a Warp Prism. He's got 2 Adepts in there. He's also belatedly started up +1 attack. The Spores are going to be no help against the Adepts. But there are still 2 queens in the main. Mr. Scott beams the 2 red shirts down, and they sprint for the mineral line. There's the drum pull. The queen is busy injecting, but there are lings there. Oh, the shade stayed behind, so Showtime was able to escape. A very conservative play, only a single drone kill, but once again, he saved all his units. And now Showtime's gonna add a battle duck. Clearly, Showtime sees a need for his armored fury. The Oracles tag the queens, proving that they will be getting further value, and then they take a dive at the 3rd. The Phoenix is not accompanying them, but they will be able to link back up with it. All 3 Oracles have significant hull damage. Serral's moving his queens to intercept. They're gonna have to be careful getting out of here. If by careful you mean exploding into a million shards of green crystals, then Showtime was very careful. Serral's finished a Hydralisk den, by the way. He's gonna be bringing a different vibe of tech this game, it looks like. Oh, the Adepts also want a shorter lifespan. They're gonna trade themselves out for another 3 drones. This doesn't slow Serral down at all. He's got 72 drones. But Showtime has 70, so it's not a total loss. Showtime somehow is even pulling more minerals than Serral right now. And he's even starting up a 4th base, which, if he gets it up and running, will actually put him on even bases with the Zerg. The 4th is a very open location. Showtime knows it. He's going to invest in static defense and add in a couple of stasis wards, which are always entertaining. Oh, Battle Duck is researching Storm. That is always a problem for Hydras. Serral's on his 2nd upgrade for Hydras, by the way. He's got the range and now he wants the speed. It won't be a composition of pure Hydra, though. He's also making Banelings. And anytime you've got Serral plus Banelings, and that is a universal force to be reckoned with. And the wall of love on Romanticide falls. If good fences make good neighbors, then we currently have neither. The Hydras were a great choice for Serral. Great defense against the Oracles, and great offense for everything else. What they don't have is the durability to survive Splash, which means this contest is likely to be all about Serral's ability to dodge it, and Showtime's ability to throw it. Speaking of durability, 2 Zealots going back-to-back in the mineral line, that's a tough take. Serral's forced to expend Banelings. It's starting to look like the 4th base is going to be the Alamo. Protoss is really focusing on it as a defensive anchor. Serral's not being particularly shy about his intentions to attack it. He's going to try to remove some more debris and give himself another attack path. Serral's creep spread is not that far from the 4th base. Oh, Baneling's hitting the wall. He doesn't want to be too eager. Showtime's going to fire some pot shots over the wall while he still can. Oh, big storm on the morphing Banelings. Oh, you might even say that was a perfect storm. Ba-doom-boom. But Serral's got plenty more Banelings from where that came from. He angles himself for a great concave, but Showtime has more storms and nice force fields to block the Banelings. The 4th base is going to be a very tough take for the Zerg. Showtime's about to catch up on attack upgrades. Serral had to switch to missile attack. Oh, here we go! Baneling connections everywhere! Showtime tries to put his Archons in front to make it as costly as possible. It's total chaos! Blue and green fireworks everywhere. Stasis ward victims clutter the battlefield. More storms go down. It seems to be Serral who's coming out on top. He's only lost slightly more resources than Showtime. And he's coming out of this with a supply lead. But he's clearly bruised as well and he's forced to retreat. Or not. Truthfully, neither side has much of an army left at this point. A 7 Zealot warp in for Protoss. The defender's advantage may make the difference here. Serral's got a dozen more Hydras on the way, but they have to rally before they matter. Somehow during all this battle, Serral managed to extend his creep even further. He's also working on a Spire. Showtime's adding shield batteries and more Templar and turning them into Archons. Their beefy shields make them ideal against the Banelings. In theory, the Baneling dies, the Archon survives, and their shields regenerate most of the damage quite quickly. Of course, with the Hydras lobbing spikes into the melee, the Archons can die just as easily. Are we going to get a round 7 on this vicious battlefield? Serral really wants to try to grind him down, but he eats a big storm. All those Hydras look a lot softer than they did a few seconds ago. They are an autumnal fashion statement of red, orange, and yellow. Showtime's hiding Zealots in the bottom left-hand corner. Baneling's gonna try to swing around to the left-hand side of the fourth. Well, that was a total bust, no pun intended. The Zealots blocked the roly-polies long enough for the cannons to go to work. Serral sets up another Hydra concave, and then he attacks! Storms away! Banelings slip through! This game totally feels like a Crimson Zone, but we are shockingly barely halfway. Showtime is coming out on top this time. He's forcing the Zerg back. He almost looks like he wants to counter. In fact, he is. He's sending out his hidden stash of Zealots. His main force is keeping the Hydras busy. The Zealots are going to hit the Zerg third. Serral sees it. He's going to pull back his Hydras to save his hatch. And there's the drone pull. Showtime is not getting the economic damage he wants. He is, though, pulling the Zerg out of position. He's using the opportunity to replenish his shield batteries and add an extra Stargate. He's also going to finish up attack +3. Serral's actually getting +1 air himself. But there are no air units at this time. Is there a transition in Zerg's future? Or is this just an emergency contingency plan? Cause for now, Zerg is all about the Banelings. His Lings have found Showtime's hidden stash of Zealots. I'm not sure they have enough firepower to deal with it on their own. Especially not when they call for their buddies. Showtime's building a bit of a bank. And it's to make carriers. He's finished his fleet beacon. He's gonna try to tech up on Serral even further. And look at this, a great Spire in production for Serral. Is he teasing me? Or are we actually gonna get to see the Night King use Broodlords once again? Oh, I think I'm gonna love it. But as always, anytime you're making Broodlords, there's that window where you're vulnerable before your investment kicks in. And Showtime's getting very serious about his air transition. He's adding +1 air attack and +1 shields. Serral's just split his ground forces. One half has laid claim to the bottom left, which is the beachhead that Showtime's been using to attack. The rest of Serral's forces are making a play for the third. Oh, but the Templar are there! The storms chase away the Zerg army. Serral's added in the crackling upgrade, by the way. It's not out of the question that he could low-tech his way to victory, or some combination thereof. Here are the first carriers. Showtime is loading them with interceptors. Serral does not have any corruptors available right now. No Vipers either. He does have his Hydra force, but his 86 supply army is far from pure Hydra. Oh, but he's not going to care if he can get free kills. He catches the carriers while they're still loading. And then Serral responds by ordering a huge round of corruptors. But forget the carriers for a second. It's actually the 5 storm-throwing Templar that are the real backbone of the Protoss army right now. And these zealot run-bys with Neblots that are really adding to the pain. Once the crackling upgrade finishes though, these run-bys should get shut down a lot faster. Serral's researching pathogen glands. Infestors with fungal growth might be his ultimate plan for those carriers. Showtime, though, doesn't actually have that many carriers just yet. This is only number 2 and 3 coming right now. But they really are just complementary pieces, and Showtime is moving out. Serral's trying to make Broodlords, but Showtime's maxed out, and he has an opportunity to hit before they're done. This is a big window for Protoss. Oh, is he pulling back? Oh! There you can really see these run-bys just starting to fall by the wayside. But I don't think Showtime's that broken up about it. Every time his zealots die off, it gives him room to make more carriers. And he's actually building a bank to do it. It's a very nice position for Showtime. But things could change in a hurry if Serral gets that critical mass of Broodlords. The first ones are hatching now. Does he have enough? And they are caught out in the open. Serral with 7 broodlords. He's going for 8. There's not a lot on the ground to screen for them though. Serral's trying to get a spore forest going, but the Archons don't care. There are 10 of them, and they do not look like they will be denied. The carriers are in trouble, but the ground force is just pushing right through. Showtime is going toe-to-toe with the broodlings. Serral gets a better position for some of his broodlords. He gets them over the rocks. But now the carriers have found them. They're ignoring the corruptors and killing the broodlords. And the Archons are going to have no trouble dealing with those corruptors. Serral sees the conundrum and hits GG. Showtime goes up 2 games. He is 1 victory away from winning his group. 1 win away from winning a series against the Night King. Showtime has not beaten Serral in a series since 2017. The last time he pulled off such a feat, it was a completely different meta. He has not, though, done it yet. He has potentially 3 more chances to try, though. Serral is now fighting for his life. If he drops another match, he's going to be left battling Innovation or DRG. And for his tournament life. And that is not appealing for the defending champion. He needs to end this now. And so, because I am incredibly stoked, Adjutant, if you would, please.
Taking caster down a notch. The game begins now.
Like I always say, the most important game in any best of 5 is Game 3. I'm wondering if we're going to see cheese out of any of our players this time. Showtime's earned himself some room to breathe, and he can afford to do something a little bit more experimental. Serral might decide he needs to shake things up, or we could just have a 45-minute macro game. It's a low ground pylon for Showtime, no sign of a hatch block. Overlord number 2 is going to pop for Serral. Those things don't need their mummies to teach them how to fly. All you birds should be embarrassed. Did you see that Overlord wasting any time at the nest? No, he gets right out there. It's a gate and go for Showtime. And it's gonna be a hatch first for Zerg. Let's get those intros. His name is Tobias Sieber, and he has an opportunity to sweep a Zerg legend. He is Showtime! So far, our Zerg player is repeating his builds from Game 1 and 2. Showtime's Gate and Go Scouting Probe is going to have an opportunity to confirm the 18 gas 17 pool. There's an interesting interview with Showtime. It's from back in 2017 where he discusses how his performance improves when he has everything in the perfect position. Things like keyboard and monitor height. And when you travel to conventions, not everything is the way you want it. So with COVID and everything online, perhaps this is an opportunity for Showtime to really shine. There's a lot less of those little intangibles holding them back. Though, one way you get held back is if you wind up being matched up against this Zerg player. He is Juna Sotala of Finland. He's the champion of DreamHack 2020 Winter. He is Serral! And his hatch and pool are about to complete. Nobody wants to take my bet that it's 2 queens and 4 lings, because once again it is. It's an economic opening that gives him confidence. Showtime's core is going to finish up, and we'll see what he's thinking. An adept once again with the chrono boost, no warp gates, and a stargate, reminiscent of Game 2. He's stashed that gate in a corner that'll be very difficult for an Overlord to get to. What I want to see is if Showtime's going to let Serral run a Zergling into his base 3 times in a row. First things first though, the Zerglings clear that scouting probe away from the 3rd so he can get his hatch down. But there is indeed a lone scouting ling somewhere on this map. And it's timed out to beat the completion of Showtime's wall. Here it comes. The Adept is not going to be able to intercept it once again. Spoke too soon. Showtime shuts it down, gets the first blood, no scouting info. Serral will have to play blind or sack an Overlord. He's gonna send a slow Overlord in over the main. He's got the right route to find that Stargate. Sadly though, because it's a Void Ray in the making, the Overlord won't live long. No Void Rays for Showtime in Game 1 and 2. They are ultra popular amongst Protoss players right now. Showtime's been playing kinda retro by passing on it. But in terms of Overlord hunting, the Void Ray has no peer. This does not seem very sporting now, does it? With his dying breath, the Overlord gurgles, "My lord, make a spore!" Serral's third is going to complete. I am running out of ways to say purple. Lavender, lilac. Showtime's going for that Twilight Council again. And he's adding gates. It's consistent with the resonating glaive play we've seen from him so far. But there are alternatives. Quick Zealot legs or Blink Stalkers. There's that spore. Only one for Serral. He's gonna cut some corners and squeeze out the extra drones. Showtime's going up to 5 gates, and we can celebrate that with a quick opening work gate ceremony. It's kind of poorly attended. There's no Zerglings here to witness it. I guess that's what happens when you've got a Void Ray out on the map. Oh, there's the Resonating Glaives upgrade. It is getting chrono boosted. Showtime looks to be securing his third. He's gonna kill that scouting Ling. Oh, and a Void Ray's gonna catch another one. The Oracles don't like to bother because they try to save their energy. Void Rays don't have that problem. Showtime plants that third, but let's talk about Serral. He's started a Roach Warren, and he's also teching for a lair. Presumably Roach speed, but there may well be more to it. A big warping of Adepts for Showtime, but we knew that was coming. Though, in Games 1 and 2, the Adepts weren't really the hammer. It was only part of the attack. Still, every Zerg player has to take it seriously or you just die to it. This Speedling's trying to get what intel he can. Has Serral seen enough Adepts to suspect what's going on? With Game 1 and 2, he's got to be live to the possibility. Actually, I'm starting to think this is a bigger commitment of Adepts than we've seen so far. There's nothing else coming out of Showtime Stargates. This time, in Game 3, the Adepts are the hammer. Serral's starting up 5 Roaches. And he's starting up Roach speed. He looks live to the threat. Hey, no loitering in the acceleration zone. Here comes the pink grapefruit-colored smear. Oh, Serral walls off his natural with an extra Evo. Showtime slams up against the gate. It's a trap. Zerg just pounces. Showtime has to destroy the Evo to get his shades out. It works, but this is a bad start for the Protoss. Now he's getting some drone kills. Serral pulls his drones at the main, but his ones at the natural were headed right to the Adepts. It's so tricky, the Zerg player has to cover 2 spots at once with sufficient forces. It may be tricky, but Serral's doing it. The Adept count is dropping. The Queens are on it. Showtime's gonna try to shade away, but he's dying in the meantime. None of them. Nobody gets out alive. And Protoss is winning on resources lost by a significant margin after he makes his big investment. Serral cannot be happier. He's earned himself an edge in this game, and it's now his game to lose. And I do believe he's gonna celebrate with a Spire. Really, it was that Evo block that did it for Serral. Showtime had so many Adepts going into this attack. Showtime's gonna start his Forge. Serral's already got +1 started. And his Roaches are officially speedy. They've eaten their Wheaties just like their Zergling counterparts. Oh, we got a door challenge. Oh, Serral times it right for when Showtime opens the door to let a probe out. The Lings are in. He's gonna get the complete scout. Showtime's forced to spend his pennies warping in more Adepts. He has to cover his mineral lines. And all of this is gonna buy more time for Serral to get his Spire up. Things are falling off the rails in Game 3 for Showtime. Serral's back is against the wall and he's reacting perfectly. Even after that Adept attack, he's got the worker lead. Serral's also banking a ton of gas, but I think we can guess where that's going. It's going right into the Muta production that'll take place as soon as the Spire's done. Showtime really wants to move his army out. He's got the bigger army, and it would help him if he used it, but he can't be too sure if it's safe to leave his base right now. And once he finally sees that Spire, he's gonna know the answer is no. No, it is not safe right now. So the end result is that Serral's got map control right now. He can just run his Roaches right across, unimpeded. And the Muta production has begun. Serral's ordered 8 of them. It's gonna be one big flock. Showtime has started up his battle deck. He may be looking to see if he can get Storm to turn his fortunes. But for his immediate needs, he wants to wall off his third. There is no defense there right now. And the roaches are on their way. I think they're gonna like what they find when they get there. It's gonna be free shots at the wall. Showtime has to swing his defenses to the east, but that's gonna create a vulnerability for the mutants, who are, not coincidentally, making their way across the map right now. All 8 in their unholy glory. They pause to pack up, which means there must be dramatic music playing. Showtime gets the threat. He's making Phoenix, but he's only got a single gate to build out of. I think his air army might be sufficiently small that the mutants could actually attack it outright. Yeah, Serral thinks so too. Showtime's ordered a single cannon for each of his mineral lines. That's gonna help. Showtime's trying to cut off the mutants with his main army, but they're just too slow. Serral's getting +1 air attack for his mutas, and he is adding to his muta count, though he's also making a ton of roaches. With a lead of 11 workers, Serral is out-resourcing Showtime, and in another minute it's gonna really reflect in a huge supply lead. Oh, he's gonna get the Void Ray, he does! Oh, this game's fallen off the rails for Showtime. He's gonna have to do some kind of gambling or impressive stunt to get back in this game. He's trying to add in a warp prism. That could be what the doctor ordered here. He's also warped in some stalkers. That could help control the muta problem. Problem might be a bit of a euphemism. I think we're bordering on crisis here. Serral's adding a Hydra Dick and Baneling speed. He now looks to be replicating the tech he had in Game 2, only coming from a much better position. Showtime is just stuck in his base. He's got this great immortal count, but no targets to shoot at. Oh, Serral's gonna bring over his roaches and help him out a little bit. He's about to max out, and he needs to make a little bit of room if he wants to produce Hydra. On the positive side, Showtime is replacing his probes as fast as Serral can kill them. The roaches show up and find there's a ton of immortals doing bonus damage against them. They have to pull back almost immediately. Serral's gonna try to defend his position at the top of the ramp instead. And the mutas are going to try to shut down Showtime's attempt to take a 4th base. And speaking of bases, Serral's taken a hit. It'll mark his first forward expansion. On Jagannatha, Serral usually seems to favor the bases as far away from his opponent as possible. Showtime's forced to remake his 4th base. And with the loss of Zerg's roaches, Serral's able to start making Hydras. He's prioritizing Hydra speed over Hydra range this time, though I suspect he'll wind up grabbing both. His +2 melee attack is going to finish, and that's going to give him an upgrade advantage, at least for his Ling Bane. In any event, it's official. Zerg is maxed. Serral will be looking to trade. Oh, the mutas hit the natural. They're doing even more damage. Showtime has managed to get his Phoenix count up, though, to the point that the mutas can't face them anymore. They've been relegated to their usual hit-and-run role. Serral's upgrading his Zerglings into Banelings. He's also building a bit of a bank. Showtime has got his Archon Immortal Force over the halfway mark. He's risking pushing onto creep. Oh, Serral catches a Warp Prism out in the open. Whatever backdoor strat Showtime had planned, we're never going to get to see it. Presumably, he wanted to augment his main attack with some Zealot run-bys, kind of like what we saw in Game 2. Oh, Serral's got to be careful. He wants to trade. He doesn't want to give his units away. But he astutely pulls back. Zerg just needs one big engagement, and he's got this, I think. Showtime can only reproduce those immortals 2 at a time. If his army gets reset, he's in some trouble. But Showtime's not that far from maxing out himself. He's picking up the Zealot leg upgrade, and he's going to finally finish off these mutas, because Serral's attention is elsewhere. He's looking to crush the main army, and his Banelings get by the force field. Showtime is in full flight. Concentric circles of emerald are spiraling out from Showtime's army. The Banelings are here, and the Lings have found his 4th base. They're gonna get it. Serral's got a huge bank. He's just replenishing his Banelings. How many times have we seen him do this? Serral starts to look like he has unlimited ammo with those things. Once it's in full swing, Protoss cannot compete. Showtime is trying to find a position. Serral's hitting him from multiple sides, but it's the Bane Rain. It's the viridescent aquamarine explosions. Serral knows the Immortals are suboptimal targets, and he doesn't care. He's just gonna cancel out Showtime's army supply. Serral with a supply lead of 80. Showtime taps out. That was a beatdown. But Showtime still has the lead. Serral is still on the ropes. There's rarely ever a single moment where a game of this caliber is won or lost, but we can't kind of pinpoint where Serral took the bull by the horns here. Serral's Evo block against the Glaive Rush was perfect. Not just the block, but the way he slammed the door with his queens and with his roaches. Showtime lost his investment, and Serral never lets him get back in it. He transitions to mutas, and Showtime remains on the back foot for the rest of the game, and ultimately has to face a Zerg opponent whose economy is firing on all cylinders. Has Serral picked up the momentum? Is he going to be able to tie this up, or can Showtime close this out? Adjutant, if you would please.
Pivoting for pivotal moments. The game begins now.
Like I said before, whenever you have a best of 5, the most important game is always Game 4. An opportunity for Zerg to tie it up, a chance for Protoss to win it all. And we'll be doing it on Pillars of Gold. As you may know, I've been conducting an investigation into why there are no Pillars of Gold on the map Pillars of Gold. Apparently there was at one time, but the Protoss sold all the pillars on cashforgold.com, and then they blew all the money on slots. They don't like to talk about it. Anywho, no hatch block for Showtime. He's gonna start things off for us with a traditional gate and go. And then he will happily grab his first gas, all of which will be done before a Zerg player puts down his 16 hatch. He is one of only 3 players in the world to have 2 triple crowns. He is Serral! He is so locked in right now. I know that because he always is. You see the way he puts down that extractor? He's saying, I'm gonna strangle you like I strangle this gas geyser. The probe comes in to watch it and is truly horrified. Yet he can't look away, which is why he missed the pool going down. Fortunately, we can look away, which is why we're gonna see Showtime plant his Nexus. A shining monument of prismatic glory, followed by a maneuver of basic essentials. You might even say it was core. Oh man, I totally blew that timing. Full second too early. But a man who never blows his timings is a man who takes the big stage. He is Showtime! I am so stoked to see what our German Protoss player is going to bring in Game 4. He gets one last free shot at the king. After that, his life is on the line. If he doesn't want the stress of a tiebreaker, he's got to make this happen now. It's 2 queens and 4 lings for Serral. Let's all pretend like you're surprised by that. You can't see me, but my surprise face is on. Core completes, chrono boosted adept, and a Stargate again. We've seen this too. It's gonna be followed by warp gate research. Serral's gonna bring an overlord over to that perch site and he's gonna see all. And go ahead and start up ling speed. Showtime's had a 50-50 mixed result with the Stargate first build so far. Let's see if he refines it. Once again, his adept keeps back for defense. Serral takes his third, but he's also got that ling trying to sneak in. That ling has a 2/3 success rate so far. And is that probe stashed in the top left looking sus? We'll have to keep an eye on him, but I want to see if that ling's gonna get in. Stargate's gonna complete. Looks like the Overlord is gonna warn that ling to stay away. Going in would be pretty suicidal. Showtime's even got a second adept coming out. And he's making a void ray out of his Stargate. Okay, with double door guards, that ling is officially locked out. But he's gonna try for it anyway. He's gonna do it. He found an angle. The ling soaked one hit and ran past. Can he live long enough to get the scout? He's got the wrong path. No, he changes it. He's gonna see it. He sees it. Of course, it is a void ray. So that is gonna become public knowledge pretty quick anyway. But still, that was a cool run by and even better first blood. Now, I don't know if you picked up on it, but what Serral did is he had this Overlord going in pretending that he was gonna sack it. If the Overlord was doing the scout, then Showtime was supposed to think there wouldn't be a run by. Whether or not it worked, you be the judge, but what I will judge is that we have a big-time proxy, 2 hidden gates, and a Templar archive. Showtime is faking Stargate. There's no Oracle behind his Void Ray. Serral is forced to react with Spore Crawlers. But what he really needs is probably a Roach Warren. Because it looks like we're going to see yet another variation of Resonating Glaives. Let's see if he researches it. He does! Showtime's repeating Game 3, only this time he's hiding his tech. If he can pull off the surprise, Serral might not be ready with an evolution chamber for the block. Void Ray moves to harass the main. Oh, I don't think Showtime's paying attention to it. The Queen's just focusing it down. He's not going to throw that away for extractor damage, is he? No, he pulls it back. Showtime has this timed out. He knows how long he has before he has to babysit it. Serral does do a Roach Warren and an Evo Chamber. That means he has the capacity to wall off his natural, just as he did in Game 3. Showtime has 5 gates, and he's warping in the Adepts. I think Serral's read this. He's getting his lair tech. But what he might not know is how soon it's coming with the proxy. Showtime's taking a gamble, and he's cut the rush distance in half. Showtime makes it look like he's taking a third base. Or he actually is taking a third, I'm not sure. Roach Warren's done, 4 roaches on the way. Showtime is already stepping onto creep. The Amazonian warriors are linking up. There's a peach-colored V flying towards the natural. Where's the block? Where's the block? It's a body block with queens and lings, followed by a second Evo. Resonating Glaives completes. Showtime's gonna try to brute force his way in again, but the wall is holding. Showtime gives up, he's taking too much damage. Serral cancels and rebuilds his Evo chamber, buying himself even more time. Is this shade a fake to throw off pursuit? Or is Showtime trying? No, it's a fake. And just like Game 3, it's a rough start for Showtime. The difference though is while he hasn't done any serious damage, he hasn't thrown away his army yet. He can still try to get value for his investment. Showtime has not put down a third. I don't think he means to transition. He's added a robo to his proxy. I think he's going to try to go all in with this. I am not going to have any fingernails left. Or a voice box. Serral's defense is just on point. He's earned himself the worker lead. And with +1 attack upgrade researching, he's going to have the upgrade lead. Roach speed is 2/3 done. Is Showtime going to try for the wall once more? No, fake out. Serral is adding Ravagers. This is only going to get harder for the Protoss. Oh, the Lings have found the proxy. Showtime is there to defend. Oh, better than that. He's going to cut those Lings off. They try to escape out the top ramp, but are denied. He's trying to deke around to the bottom ramp. Force field for the block. And now the Lings will be summarily executed by the Adepts. Actually, it looks more like death by sentry. How humiliating. Serral's Lings dies. But Serral knows what he needs to know. Showtime is trying to transition. He's kept enough of his Adepts alive that he can have a death ball way ahead of schedule. You can do that when you cut probes and don't build a third. Serral, though, is kept on top of his Roach production. He's looking pretty huge. A big-time clash. Guardian Shield goes up. Biles hit the army. Serral taking a commanding lead on supply. Showtime's working on that Warp Prism. Hopefully he'll have an army left to reinforce it with. Serral is just forcing them back. There's 3 Immortals in that army. They should be doing more damage. Serral orders a round of 20 Lings. Showtime, 2 Adepts. Serral pulls back. He decides he doesn't want to go off creep. He's showing great patience. He's got to be able to feel how close he is to tying this up. More Biles hit. Showtime is in so much trouble. Protoss's front line has become squishy soft. Serral's not making a 4th. He's just adding units. Showtime is double tapping a certain key in the middle of his keyboard. Serral takes the game. He ties up the series. We're going to Game 5, people. I cannot, in good conscience, talk about Game 4 right now. If you have a pulse, you'll want to get to Game 5. We're about to witness a spectacular Serral comeback or a huge upset by Showtime. Let's get to witnessing. Adjutant, if you would, please.
Preparing Game 5 madness. The game begins now.
I do believe we can all agree that in any best of 5, Game 5 is the most important game. When I started doing this, I had no idea it was going to turn out so beautifully. My point to all that nonsense is, whatever game you're playing right now, that's the most important game. Dude, I should be like a sports psychologist. Okay, Showtime is pissed. He's resorted to the dirty hatch block. He did it in Game 1. He's doing it in Game 5. He's followed that up with a low ground pylon, which is what he did in Games 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here comes the gate, but it's no gate and go. He's already got a probe over there. Serral sees the block and redirects his drone. He's gonna set up his unnatural natural. Or not, he just threw down a spawning pool, and his drone is waiting. He's hiding and waiting for the probe to leave. Is Showtime gonna fall for it? Showtime's headed over to the third base location to investigate. He wants to see the unnatural natural. Serral's drone's gonna sneak back in. Showtime figures it out, but he's too slow. Serral gets down his hatch. Oh, that was so awesome. This game is off to a bang. Take that, you hatch blocker. Showtime figures out what's happened. He suspects the pool. He's looking for it. He didn't see it. Serral hides it in the top corner. I'm not sure it really matters, but it just makes it even cooler. And now Showtime mixes it up. He goes core before Nexus this time. A subtle change, but maybe something that gives us some insight to his Game 5 psychology. And look at this. Single queen 2 lings for Serral. Our Game 5 opening has a completely different complexion. Those 2 lings are ready, and they might be going for a first blood. Nope. They've got more important business to attend to. They want to see what Showtime's got going on his side of the map. And what we have is a completed core, a chrono-boosted adept. No tech choice. He's not delaying. He just doesn't have any cash just yet. No, he's saving his pennies so he can complete his wall. He remembers there's lings on the way. Can he get something down? He can, though it kind of looked like Serral pulled back. Showtime cancels his shield battery, gets as much of his money back as he can. Serral splits his lings to give the adept a headache. The shade has no idea where it's going and it just kind of fizzles out. The lings did escape, but they will not get any intel. And here's yet another change-up. Showtime sending his original adept across the map. He's never done that. Showtime starts his Stargate, Serral with ling speed. The adept looks to see if he can get something done. The shade goes in. 4 lings are gonna pick it up. It's a cancel. No gamble for Showtime, he keeps his adept safe and sound. Meanwhile, Serral plants his third. Adept number 2 is out, a third one is on its way. It may be that, like in previous games, the Stargate is really more of a fake-out, and we might be seeing more resonating glaive play. Showtime's looking to link up his first 2 adepts. He's gonna try for the natural yet again. Here comes the peach smear. 2 queens are on those adepts. Oh, they're getting lots of shots in. The shade is canceled. A little bit of vision, but if he was looking for drone kills, he got nada. I mean, the number 0, not the legendary South Korean Brood War player. He's back to a void ray coming out of that Stargate.
Swarm forces under attack.
I do believe I missed the first blood off screen. I must be exhausted. Void ray is out. He's gonna hunt that overlord. It's the second blood. Doesn't have the same feel, does it? And this time he's following it up with an oracle. Is Showtime now faking resonating glaive play when he's actually going for an oracle dive? He really wants to keep Serral guessing, and you can really exploit patterns when you have 5 games in a row. I love this, but I can't be too sure because I don't really know exactly what he's doing. Serral's making spores, which is exactly right, and he's gonna splurge for overlord speed this time. He's been delaying that quite a bit throughout this series. The oracle is here. I'm keen to see if he's gonna be building more. 2 of Showtime's adepts are getting active again. They're making their way down the right-hand side of the map. 2 more adepts warping in. And a single oracle is headed south to Zerg territory. It looks like Showtime is heading out for a multi-pronged attack. The first component is a shade into the third. There's drones there. He gets one, but the queen reacts and speedlings are there. The adepts go for the surface area defense. They pack into the mineral line. Meanwhile, the oracle attacks the main. But there's a queen and a spore. Showtime has to turn back. The adepts are dead, and 2 more shade in at the natural. Showtime aborts. He's gonna save his last 2 adepts. That was an incredible defense by Serral. 3 attacks up, 3 attacks down. Meanwhile, Serral's well on his way to getting lair tech. And he already has a roach warren. And he started an Evo chamber. He doesn't have any actual roaches, but he's roach capable. Showtime's already got his forge, he started +1. And he's getting a Twilight Council. Oh, the Oracle's not done. This time he's playing around with stasis wards. He forces the drone pull and gets 4 drones. Subtle economic damage. Serral starts roach speed, still no roaches, and he prioritizes +1 missile attack. That's different for him. In the previous 4 games, he's really prioritized his melee attack, probably because of his extensive use of banelings. And no resonating glaives for Showtime. He's gone for zealot leg speed. Both our players have thrown the textbook out the window tonight. For Game 5, they're breaking all the rules, including an early infestation pit for Serral. Hive tech? Infestors? Swarm hosts? Showtime's hallucinated Phoenix got vision of that infestation pit if he clicked on it. Showtime is making a battle duck. And he's adding 3 more gates. He's gearing up. Serral's adding roaches. Serral was able to get away with making nothing but cheap lings for a long time in this game. That's gonna have an impact. He's at 68 drones already. Showtime's harass damage was almost negligible. Serral has planted his 4th, and his creep spread's looking pretty established. Showtime has an observer out. I think he's looking to pare it back. But the real story here is Mushroom Men are confirmed. Serral is making 10 Swarm Hosts. It's going to be Swarm Hosts backed by roaches. Showtime's making a Warp Prism. With the leg upgrade finishing, I think he's going to want to be doing some run-bys. What I don't see is a Nidus network. That's a bit unconventional. Also unusual, Showtime is not researching Storm. Those are both typically considered must-haves given their opponent's composition. There's that 4th up. There's that Stormless Templar Archive. He is using it to make Archons. So, if you don't know, Serral is a legend with Swarm Hosts. He won the Global Finals in 2018 by annihilating stats with his Swarm Hosts. But I actually think Showtime is one of the best Swarm Host defenders I've ever seen. He really gets the rhythm and timing of the Locust waves. Oh, these guys are so smart. Showtime's getting his shield batteries ready, and Serral's adding spine crawlers to deal with the zealot run-bys. That Oracle really performs a much-needed service with that tag. Here we go! Showtime with a force field trap. He murders a couple Mushroom Men right out of the gate and forces a huge Locust wave out. He then retreats back to his shield battery. Serral's Roach Ravager is using the Locust as a screen. Photon Overcharge goes off and Protoss is going to be A-OK. But he can only pull off that stunt so many times. Serral's replacing and even increasing his Swarm House count. Did I just say Swarm House? That's an even cooler name. All the Locusts in the house! Who needs a Nidus network when you have a creep highway like this? Showtime's really staked a great position here though. He's forcing Serral back so he can't get his Swarm Host within range of his base. And he's actually trying to go up on even bases while he's doing all this. He's taking a 4th. Oh, but the Swarm Hosts are loaded now. It's time to go home. Oh, a bit of a premature ejac there. Serral had to fire off his Locust to save his roaches. He's gonna chase the Protoss back, but they're gonna peter out before he can do any structural damage. Now, I was gonna make some kind of joke about the Locust stamina, but since they last 3 times as long as a Broodling, I can't really say anything. Great compensation by Serral. With Showtime turtling at his 3rd, he's able to take down the 4th. And his Swarm Hosts are just about reloaded to try again. What he has lost, though, is that creep spread. And Showtime's about to get the upgrade advantage. Serral swung his Mushroom Men to the east. He wants to find another way to slip his Locusts in and take down Showtime's drones or his tech. Showtime's army's caught stranded in the middle of the map, not where they want to be. Oh, and look at this redirect. Instead of going for the main, Serral's gonna try a pincer maneuver. Oh, he could have crushed the Protoss army, but it looks like the Roach side collapsed just in time, and Showtime was able to swing to the west. Oh, those Archons all have +2. Showtime's got a really nice Immortal count, It's even more impressive when you consider he's only got a single robo. Hey, it's 1 Zealot versus 13 Swarm Hosts. Stop running, you cowards! Oh, the Queens have to save the Swarm Host. That's so embarrassing. Oh, and Serral has started a Nidus network. He's not standing pat, he's mixing it up. Showtime's trying to rebuild that 4th. That Overlord, though, is going to let Serral put a Nidus worm down. Serral is maxed. He's got a hefty army lead. He's also pulling in much more money as he leads by a base. What Showtime has is the tech lead. His Death Ball can take on just about anything straight up. Serral's Roach Ravager's gone around it, though. He's going to be able to get to the natural. Serral kills a pylon and a cannon before he decides he needs to pull back. He's also starting a 5th base. And here comes the Nidus Worm. Oh, has Showtime got a surround on the Ravagers? The Swarm Hosts are busy. They're waiting for the worm. Showtime's going to take advantage. The Ravager army's just been cut down to size. They flee to the Nidus Worm, which is going to lead the Protoss right to it. The Queens are on hatch guarding duty. Showtime keeps trickling in those Zealots. Serral starts a new worm as his original worm dies. But the Zealots find it. Showtime's map awareness is so good. Is he aware of that 5th base, though? Serral's going to save that worm, but Showtime makes him pay for it. The Protoss upgrade lead is about to end. Locusts do benefit from the ranged attack upgrade. Oh, Showtime gets the worm anyway. How does he have so many immortals? He just keeps the production going. Maybe that's why they call him the Macro Protoss. Another hidden worm on the east side, this time a little further back. Oh, the Roach Ravager army getting a little overconfident again. The Swarm Hosts are like, we don't need no worm, we can just walk here. They are going to get a terrific siege position over the main. Showtime's army is miles away battling the Roaches. That's why Serral sent them too far up north. They were the distraction. Clearly I fell for it. And now my Nexus is doomed. It's Locust Stock 2020. The return of the laser light show. Oh yeah! I love how the Locusts die right after, like it's sort of a reverberation. Showtime's gonna get vengeance by taking the Zerg 4th. It's a base of much greater economic importance. So is this fresh 5th base if the Zealots notice it. Yes, they do. Serral's got a worm planted next to the Protoss 4th. We've just reached the mass destruction phase of this game. Serral's building a Nidus worm on his own base. He decides he needs defensive mobility. Serral's gonna remax on Lings. Anyway, then he's gonna do this. Oh, those poor Zealots. Nope, 2 of them do not give their life for ire. They get out of dodge. This Roach Ravager keeps trying to win this fight, but the immortal count is just too high. Oh, it's an artistic masterpiece. I love that the Locusts are looking away from the explosion, like they're the heroes in an action movie. There's a fireball behind me, and I don't even care. Oh, Showtime's gonna shut down the Nidus network. That's an important piece of tech. As is the 3rd base, the Zealots are ravaging. Apparently neither player is allowed to have any bases. This is kind of like a base race that's not a base race. Serral's actually down to 2 bases. This is dangerous for him. He's remaking one in the bottom right, but it's already cut off. He's got to gamble that Showtime doesn't see it. Showtime is also down to 2 bases. He is slightly out-resourcing Serral, and his Warp Prism is letting him bring in the reinforcements. He's getting +3, he's trying to make a 3rd base, which he's gonna need because he's about to lose his 3rd. The probe pull's a little slow, but it doesn't matter. Serral wants the Nexus, and he will not be denied. Showtime is supply blocked. I think he's just gonna throw everything into offense now. And suddenly Zerg is outmining the Protoss. This is a touch-and-go game. Both players are extremely fragile right now. Showtime snuffs another wannabe hatchery. Serral retreats up his ramp. Oh, he's not gonna hold the ramp. He wants to reinforce with more roaches first. Showtime's gonna get up the ramp. He kills the Roach Warren. That's a critical tech structure. He gets the Evo chamber. He's gonna get the infestation pit. Serral's tech is gone. Showtime only has 1 functioning base, but he's got the slightly bigger army. Both economies are in shambles. Showtime is crushing the Roach Ravager. Serral's only got his empty main left. It's GG! Showtime takes it! Showtime takes Game 5! Showtime takes the series! He has beat the #1 player in the world in a best-of-5 series! Right to the wire. It's showtime, showtime, showtime. Okay, I want to give some thoughts on what we saw from Showtime in this series. Some background. In an interview, Serral has previously said, reaction is the soul of the Zerg, meaning much of the meta has been that Zerg has the tools to combat any Protoss strategy, but they have to have time to adapt to it before they can do so, which means they need to prepare for it before it hits. This is how in high-level play we get the phenomena of Detective Zerg, made famous by the Zerg player Nesty. Zerg either heavily invests in scouting or demonstrates one of those inexplicable sixth senses when they have those memorized defensive timings that just seem to work out perfectly. Now, typically what we see then is Protoss and Terran players trying to disguise their builds. The most common example is letting an overlord scout something and then canceling it. It costs the player money to do that, which sets them back, but it's an investment in subterfuge. That's been going on for years, and Zerg is well wise to it. Sometimes you even have that double fake where the Protoss tries to look like they're faking an upgrade, and then they really let it complete. Protoss has 3 major tech trees for the early to mid-game: Stargate, Twilight Council, and Robo. Now that's an oversimplification, but just go with it for the moment. If Zerg guesses which tech tree the Protoss is going for, they will be disadvantaged. A heavy investment in roaches doesn't help you against Void Rays, for example. Extra spores don't do very much against the Glaive Rush. What Showtime does in this series is fascinating. What he does is he often built his primary tech tree second. That is, he made a fake but didn't cancel it. Not only did he not cancel it, he even used it. In a sense, it wasn't a fake at all, it was real. But it distorted what his real primary attack was. Most often, this consisted of him building and showing a Stargate with units and then going mass adept. But he also did the reverse. The disadvantage to this strategy is that Showtime's timings all hit a little bit later. By the time he hit, Zerg had more units or more economy. But what he was hoping for in trade-off was that Serral would be unprepared. The best example of this was the double disruptor drop in Game 1. From Serral's vision, that came out of nowhere. For the most part, though, Serral is Serral, which is to say he's omniscient and he saw through most of Showtime's bluffs. But it was really cool to see him try, and occasionally even succeed. Congratulations again to Showtime. This was a fantastic series. Be kind to your brothers this holiday season and tell someone so they don't miss it. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your Starcraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.